off. I wanted to start to talk about a topic that's come up several times about orchestration being driven by revenues and services. So just very quickly, I wanted to give you the results of some surveys we did a couple of years ago. These were old, but I think still valid. And then what is really driving the requirements for orchestration? And it was mentioned by Verizon in one of the sessions on Tuesday that Verizon Enterprise guys, if you have a revenue case for OSS, you will get a lot more progress than just a cost-saving case. And automation, same thing. If you can do something for customers because of it. And so I want to give a strong theme to this afternoon of let's think about how to make operations support and orchestration not only useful, but also linked into the revenue stream, and that'll get you budget to do it. We did this a while ago, but you'll see that we looked at the different groups that were impacted by function, and I won't go through them all, but the orange bar to the right of each column indicates that the entire operation has to change. The purple bar to its left indicates that there's major implications for change. And you see here we have a lot of major functions that have to change, but they're all really changing the processes. And this is painful. If we look at what the applications, and we did actually ask orchestration questions, one of the hardest people to survey is network operations guys, because they have real jobs, unlike marketers and planning guys who can take the time to answer surveys. It took us a long time to get even these data. But you'll see that on the left, when we asked which network applications are you planning to expand for SDN and FE, operations support was right up there with policy control. By the way, policy control is not getting enough attention these days. And then when we asked whether they would require the orchestrated interwork, we didn't probably word the question quite right, but the business systems, number one was the analytics engines. And we have to think about both customer and network analytics. So again, I want to encourage you all to think about OSS is not a silo in its own right. Even if it's a multi-domain OSS, it needs to be interworking with peer-level information that can be put together to give a complete picture of both the network and the customer experience. And then finally, we asked, what are the services? And I actually think we were pretty close on the services. We had on-demand bandwidth was number two. We had on-demand what was that? Capacity, and then we had, the SLA agreements and the VPNs. So this is a more recent survey that was done by TM Forum in 2016. I'm sure they're keeping track of it. But if you look at the 34% on the right, what the service providers said themselves was what was driving the need for orchestration. And the number one need was to offer services quicker and to be able to offer services on demand. So these are both customer-facing, revenue-generating opportunities. Faster service means happier customers, lower churn. On-demand services mean hopefully more bandwidth sold. So now let me step away from, I only have a couple of these slides. These are from the conference in The Hague last fall that Vodafone published at that point. And I wanted to show you that really let's think about OSS as the opportunity and orchestration as the opportunity to build internally in the telcos, in the service providers, for yourself the right architecture that you can also turn around and into a revenue-producing service. And this is an example that Vodafone presented of their multi-country problem. And we know Vodafone has a lot of different countries, and what they wanted to do was create an orchestrator problem, an orchestrator solution that dealt with any-to-any communications. And just as a footnote, we had a couple of comments that there is no architecture to service orchestration, and that's not true. They're just application architectures at the top for customer management, service management. These systems can be architected and structured logically. And as you see in the Vodafone case, in this example, they're actually showing them all to be the same. But actually, we could have orchestrators that deal with some systems in different countries that have less functionality and some that have more. But either way, we can orchestrate them from a common interface. But if you design this for yourselves correctly, then you will be able to do it for your enterprise customers. You will be able to deal with multiple divisions of a multinational corporation. And the MEF, I just met this morning with Pascal from the MEF forum, and he told me they have an advisory panel of the multinational corporations who are asking for access to orchestration. So think of orchestration as a service, might even be in your future. But again, think revenues, even as you build it for yourselves. And similarly, Vodafone showed the example for their OpCo problem. As you know, Vodafone's a very decentralized organization with a lot of local initiatives. They're trying to be a little more coordinated on SDN and FV, but fundamentally they need to manage all the OpCos centrally and distributed. And by using the appropriate orchestration measures, they really were able to deal with this as a single logical problem. And again, this diagram shows everybody looking the same. That doesn't have to be true if you have a more flexible orchestrator. But so with that, I just want to leave you with the message. Think of every internal orchestration and OSS expense as an opportunity to create a revenue-generating service. So without more ado, let me introduce our first speaker.